I'm Jordan Tomase with What's Happening Toledo. We're sitting down with Abbey Turner. She's a local creative and a cancer survivor. Throughout her journey, she didn't let her disease define her. So at age 24, you were diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Can you kind of describe what the disease is for those that don't know?
Hodgkin's lymphoma is a blood cancer, and it is very rare, but it's also very treatable. Actually, if I were diagnosed in 1960, I would have about a 10% chance of living. But because there's been so many medical advancements made, they actually really know how to treat it now, and they're very effective at treating it. So yes, it was a huge shock to me, obviously, as it would be anyone who's in their early 20s getting kind of a death sentence of some sort. But it really was helpful to know that it is curable, even though it takes a lot of aggressive chemo and in some cases, like mine, radiation, and a lot of constant checkups.
What were those first symptoms? When did you realize something doesn't feel right?
I actually was seeing the doctor almost 9 months before I finally got the diagnosis, and I was experiencing symptoms for about a year beforehand. Really, the first symptoms for me was just extreme fatigue. I would get 8 hours of sleep a night, and I would just wake up exhausted and be exhausted all day. And then a lot of the symptoms I found out after the fact were related to Hodgkin's. So another weird one was I was itchy all over. And my boyfriend actually was getting mad at me because he's like, I don't want to scratch your back more, you need to chill. And so I found out later that's a huge symptom. So I was like, you're a bad person. No, the main symptom was I actually started to find kind of lymph nodes that were enlarged underneath my collarbone. And initially when I got them checked out, I got a ton of blood work done and all these scans and x-rays and ultrasounds and God knows what. Everything came back great, so they said, okay, well, we'll just monitor it. And I was having a little bit of night sweats as well, so it was kind of concerning, but they said, everything looks good, so we'll just keep going. And then I continued to feel more. I actually had a kind of more external lymph node on this side that was really starting to swell up. So that was kind of the main insinuator, okay, you need to go back and get this checked again. They did multiple testing, multiple checks, all sorts of things, and everything kept coming back negative. But I had a bad feeling about it, and I know my body well, I could tell that something was wrong. So I just kept going back. I kept getting other opinions, and finally I was referred to a wonderful oncologist, Dr. Desai, for the Toledo clinic, and ended up getting a biopsy done, and they confirmed it pretty much on the spot. They said, you have a 75% chance of cancer. We don't know what it is, but it doesn't look great for you. So, yeah.
I love that you stuck with your gut, because a lot of people just would have been like, all right, I'm fine, but you knew something was wrong.
Yes, and I try to tell people to advocate for themselves just because of my story. I really just had this feeling, and I know no one wants to see the doctor. No one wants to see the doctor. I don't want to see the doctor either. But it is really important, and if you feel that something is wrong, you have to go get the answer. There's an answer for it.
And you created a Facebook page that documents your journey through everything. Why did you want to create something like that?
When I was initially diagnosed, I was kind of faced with the question, okay, do I keep this in? Do I keep this private? There were so many emotions going on, just anger and sadness and embarrassment a little bit too, and just so many negative emotions. I couldn't figure out how to handle it. And I thought at first I would keep things very, very private within just my close friends and family. And then I talked to a fellow survivor, and he said, what if you were able to share your story and you impacted just one person and you made this process easier for them? Or you taught one person what it is to go through something hard. And I really sat and thought with that and just decided, you know what, this is a chance for me to share my story, and this isn't something that happens every day, but this is something that happens to a lot of people and a lot of families. And maybe I can show people you can have it all, you can get through it too. and you can still, do work that you love or wear cute outfits or use your profession. Like for me, it was really important for me to document it through photography as well. So I think just the nature of being kind of a creative and an artist too, I thought sharing this in whatever forms make the most sense for me, like maybe this can be something bigger than me.
How has the community's response been?
Unbelievable. I joke about it because I just didn't know this many people liked me. I think so many people have been receptive towards it and very, very supportive of me. It doesn't happen every day, and you don't think it's ever gonna happen to you. So I think it took a lot of people by surprise. Like I'm, a very small percent of young adults that have to live with cancer at some point. I think it helped other people kind of get that wake-up call too. And of course it was a wake-up call for me, but even among my family and friends and my peers and my community, I had such an overwhelming response that honestly makes me so happy, of people that would write to me and say, oh, I can't relate to what you're going through. I don't have this going on, but you helped me look at this situation in my life differently. And so that makes it worth it to me.
And what led you to Vivi and Kate? You met Carrie, you refer to her as your mentor.
Yes.
How did this friendship begin?
I love Carrie, she's awesome. I walked in here and asked for a job, and she said, when can you come back? And I want you to model for me as well. And we just started such a awesome relationship. And I really mean it when she's my mentor, because I look up to Carrie in so many ways. She is such a great businesswoman, first and foremost, but she kind of makes me think, okay, I can have it all. Like I can be a smart, successful businesswoman, and I can still put on makeup and do my hair and feel pretty, and you really can do it all. So Carrie has just shown that to me in so many ways.
Well, the first impression, she's obviously strikingly beautiful, and I thought, well, if this girl can put a sentence together, she's hired. And she was so much more than that. She is such a beautiful person on the inside. She's an old soul, and she's wise beyond her years. I've enjoyed her company and her friendship so much, but I've been so inspired by her story and watching her journey throughout this whole cancer diagnosis, and how she's handled it with such grace and courage. And I think she often talks about me being a mentor, and I think a lot of times when you hear that, you think, well, gosh, she's learning so much from me. And I think through this process, in actuality, I think I've learned so much from Abbey. And it's really been such a give and take relationship that I'm so proud of, and I honor my relationship with her so much. And this whole journey has just made me love her even more. It's a philanthropic fundraiser where 5 women, 5 men compete, whoever raises the most money for LLS. And it's been such a great organization for Abbey and a resource through her process that I really felt like it was important for us to give back. And I also felt like it was a great opportunity for Abbey to feel empowered over cancer and for her to fight back.
And you mentioned you model for Vivi and Kate.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some of the photos, and some of them you're showing your natural hair, and some of them you wear wigs.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to showcase both?
I think it goes back to being just multifaceted, and I think, you create your own confidence. Obviously, no girl in their early 20s wants to go shave their head. Well, some people do, I guess, on purpose, but I didn't. I never thought that I would do anything like that. So it was so liberating to do so, and I've loved fashion so much that it's actually been really fun for me to just kind of go crazy with it and get bolder with my style and have so many more options. So it's kind of comes down to like what I'm in the mood for. And some people tell me, oh, like you can just wear your natural hair, it looks good, it looks good. And I'm like, well, that's not really the reason I do it. Like I do what feels good for me. And what sounds fun for me and what I think is gonna go well with that outfit or look cute. So I love to do all of it, and I don't think anyone should be embarrassed about having to shave their head or be confined to some societal standards of what a woman should look like. So it was important for me to do both.
I think it's so important for young girls to be confident and to embrace whatever situation they're going through or maybe their own look. I love that she breaks through barriers and she defines her own looks, and I think that is such a great role model for young kids and young adults.
So you made the decision to freeze your eggs at such a young age. What made you decide to do that?
Just the nature of the chemo I was on, causing a certain level of infertility. I'm not ready to have kids yet, but I know that I do want to have them. So it was kind of a little divergent road for me, because a lot of people, once they get diagnosed, they just go right into, all the surgeries, chemo, radiation. And actually my mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer a couple years ago, so she was able to kind of help me realize, it's really not life or death if I take 3 weeks before this or 4 weeks to undergo this process that might be something that I really, really care about later in my life. So it was really kind of like a planning moment, which I'm so happy that I did it, just so that I have, kind of that insurance policy. But it was a really grueling process too. It's a lot of needles, a lot of shots, a lot of appointments, and then a surgery. So, it's not for everyone, I wouldn't say, but I'm glad that I was able to have the opportunity to do it.
And financially, how were you able to cover the cost of that?
So actually, LLS, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, reached out to me right after I was diagnosed, probably within the first week. And it was the first call I had gotten from any organization, anyone really outside of just my doctor and the people that knew. And I remember such a pivotal moment of this kind man who worked for LLS talking to me, kind of asking how I was doing, which no one had asked me. This man made me feel so supported, and he gave me so many different options as far as charities that could help support me too. And so through LLS, actually, one of those charities that he had connected me to was able to pay for all of the medication necessary and all of the hormones and shots necessary for me to freeze my eggs. And that's a lot of money. So it was, I'm very grateful for that, because I don't know where that resource would have come from if it didn't come from LLS.
You posted a very emotional video of you ringing the bell.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
So surreal. Sometimes I still kind of have to pinch myself, and it's almost like it was hard to be emotional at the time, because I had been dreaming about that day and picturing it in my mind for the last 8 or so months, just every single day, like, Abby, you're gonna do this, you're gonna ring the bell. So then it was funny when it finally happened. I was like, okay, this isn't real life, right? So looking back on those videos now, I just watched it the other day, and it brings tears to my eyes now, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I really did that.
What advice do you have for somebody who might have just recently diagnosed or is currently going through their own journey of their own?
You really, it's kind of a catch-22, because you have to look for the small moments and really just try to get through every day. Some days can be so hard, and truly, it's hard to get out of bed some days still for me, because of all the emotional processing. But you have to just kind of surrender to it a little bit and know this is a time in my life, this is not gonna last forever. So you cherish the small moments and the days where you feel good, but then on the other end, you also look at the big picture and okay, this is just a very, very small window in my life. I will make it through this, and I will see the other side for the better.
And what's next for Abby? You're a survivor. I mean, you've accomplished so much already. What's next?
I am moving out of Toledo in a couple of months, so I think this was a huge kind of wake-up call to me too, that I love this city, I'm proud of this city, and I'm proud of being from here, but I do want to experience life somewhere else. So I will be moving to another part of the country. I don't know exactly what I will be doing yet, but it's almost the beauty of having this disease and overcoming it. I don't really care what I'm going to be doing because I get every single day to live, and that's the most important thing to me. So I know that I'll always keep doing art and hopefully continue to be in the fashion world, but I'm ready to just like open my wings and explore and, you know, start my second life. That's what I call it, my second life.